Thoko sale ko. That's it. The narrative begins there, ends there.
Do you think if you would have done things differently, probably this side of you would have been more celebrated than the side which has gotten...
Once the media started, beginning with one particular channel whose anchor is known, right, to shout the house down, right? What did I start by saying? Vijay Mallya, I want to see you eating jail food. Vijay Mallya, I want to see you in jail clothes, etc., etc. Started from there. Everybody had to jump on the bandwagon.
I think in the same time, because we're talking about events, somebody mentioned that you took out 35 million euros and invested in buying properties in France.
Rubbish.
With some dummy company called, I think, Gizmo Holding or something like that.
Tell me, if I had siphoned Kingfisher Airlines money to such an extent, as people suggest, how would the airline run? On the bank's own admission, on the Debt Recovery Tribunal's own admission, 4,999 crores was the debt. Right?
Yeah.
Rest is all interest. ठीक है ना? The suggestions are that I have stolen or misused most of that or all of it. How would the airline fly? If all the money borrowed from the banks, Vijay Mallya pocketed, how would the airline fly? See, so all these allegations and false narratives being painted by people, if you analyze them, they make no sense.
What also is not making sense to me is when the government said that they're going to support you in 2008, the FM said that they'll provide the loan, which they probably did with the banks. Later in 2011, the union minister of the same government they started objecting that you were not paying even taxes. 150 crore was pending and they started putting you in the public eye.
But they were arrears. Nobody is disputing that. But compare my arrears with Air India's arrears. Air India's arrears were probably 10 times that of Kingfisher Airlines. That was because of the stress of the aviation sector.
And why did Air India didn't get anything and you got everything? Every little scrutiny happened with you if Air India was in trouble more than you, which actually was the case.
It's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. They were in a more daunting situation than yours, like the airline.
Yeah, but all the focus was only Kingfisher.
Why?
You should ask those that turned on the spotlights.
Why do you think it happened?
Like clearly combination of animosity, jealousy, whole bunch of factors. Once again, unproductive things to think about. In life, think positive.
Come on, it costed you a whole life in India. You must have thought about it hundreds of times.
No, I'm not. In any case, since 1988, I've been going to India for less than 180 days in a year. All my 3 children are American citizens. All have lived outside India, never in India. My mother has been in this country for over 30 years. What do I go back to? Of course, I will get the most ceremonial welcome by the Indian media. Of course, sure I will. My goodness, it will be headlines of every single newspaper.
Okay, so 2012, the airline got suspended. Non-payment of multiple things, working capital, cash flow, everything got really, really bad for you. Right? And then the big bash happened, the birthday party, which is often talked about in 2015.
Go ahead.
What happened between 2012 and 2015 with this
Nothing.
case?
What happened?
I'm asking you, what happened during?
What happened?
Did
in
everybody
what sense
forgot?
What?
Did everybody, like, they were not bothered about Kingfisher Airlines, or what the cases were going on?
Of course, everything was going on. Nothing stopped. Nothing stopped.
Because people don't talk about that often. What happened? Like, what was going on?
Nothing was going on. That's when the willful defaulter and all that. You know what the willful defaulter is all about, right?
Tell me what is
The
about.
banks call a willful defaulter of somebody who has the money but won't pay.
Yeah.
That's called a willful defaulter.
Yeah.
Right. I made 4 settlement offers to the banks.
Between 2012 to 2015?
Yes. Which they refused to accept. That nobody knows.
What was the settlement that you were offering?
So many settlement offers, including before the court. Right. So it was always the intention to settle. I flew through Hyderabad and met the chairperson of the State Bank of India at their training academy in Hyderabad and offered a settlement. It was always my intention to settle. Never did I say I'm not going to pay.
And why do you think they didn't accept it?
They wanted 14,100 crores. That's why they didn't accept it then.
They didn't want your 5,000 crore because they were expecting it to go up. Like the sale of your assets will be much higher than...
Whatever.
Is that?
Yeah. Had they accepted my offers, they would have got 5,000 crores. Today they've got 14,100 crores.
But is there any proof do you have where you offered them settlement and they didn't accept from 2012
Take out
to
the records
2015?
of the Supreme Court of India. The proof. What better proof than the records of the Supreme Court of India? Public documents.
So let's say you offered,
Yeah.
nothing happened. Nobody, not even a needle moved. It just kept going on. It kept getting worse. And you knew this trouble was going on. And in 2015, apparently, according to the media, this is where things went down, where you had a grand birthday party, your 60th birthday party, 18 December 2015, right?
Correct.
What happened in that party?
Nothing. It was a party that, normal party that I had. And I've had so many of them over the years.
Do you think you shouldn't have done that party or made it so public?
But why? Why?
Because the whole narrative is against you. You spending, see, this is what a common person would think. If I was a Kingfisher employee and I've not gotten paid for XYZ reason, for let's say economic factors, business model, whatever, XYZ reason, I'm not getting paid. My livelihood was dependent on this. And then I see the promoter of my company spending millions of dollars or Enrique Iglesias to perform for his birthday party. I would get enraged. I want to, as an employee at that point, if I've not gotten paid, I don't understand that there are 50 businesses that you have built. I understand only one thing, that the promoter of my company is enjoying on my expense.
I would agree with everything that you said, except your last, at my expense. The promoter of the
I'm talking
company,
like a common person. That's what I'm asking.
fair enough. The common person didn't know that upon objection by the same banks, Karnataka High Court declined to agree to drawing readily available cash to pay the salaries. Right. Okay, I agree with you. The suffering employee would have also said, the man has United Breweries, United Spirits, is none of my business. Right. Right. So I could have been a thorough hypocrite. I could have come here to London and had my party and nobody would have even known. Right?
Yeah.
Would that have solved the problem?
No.
Okay.
But you didn't do that. You did the public party in India.
It's not public. Sorry. It was by invitation. But of course, everything that I do is covered by the media. And I paid for it myself. Kingfisher Airlines was in no position to pay. I paid for it myself. Maybe in hindsight now, Okay, and I'm